What's going on, Vikings Nation? Buckle up, because today we're diving into a draft conversation that could completely reshape the future of the Minnesota Vikings. The 2026 NFL Draft is just over 2 months away, and the buzz around that 18th overall pick is getting louder by the day. Here's the teaser. There are no can't-miss prospects expected to fall to 18, but there are 3 names, 3 high-upside, high-risk players who could either become stars in purple and gold or leave fans questioning everything. And trust me, this is where it gets very interesting. Today, we're breaking down 3 first-round options with serious boom or bust potential. We're talking elite traits, medical red flags, positional value debates, and what it all means for the Minnesota Vikings. Let's get into these Minnesota Vikings news and figure out who makes the most sense. At pick 18, the Vikings are in that tricky middle ground. Too late for the elite blue-chip locks. Too early to just settle. That means this front office has to be precise, calculated, and bold at the same time. This draft class doesn't have many flawless prospects. In fact, most of the top talents come with noticeable concerns on their scouting reports. That's why this decision is going to define how aggressive this team wants to be in building the next contender. So the real question is simple. Do the Vikings swing for upside or play it safe? Let's start with a name that could instantly change the secondary, Jermad McCoy. Jermad McCoy out of Tennessee has some of the best cornerback tape in college football over the last 2 years. When you turn on the film, you see a fluid mover, sticky in coverage, confident in press, and instinctive in zone. The Minnesota Vikings have been searching for a true CB1 for years. A lockdown presence. Someone who can shadow the opponent's top receiver and change the math defensively. McCoy looks like that type of player. But here's the catch. He missed the entire 2025 season after tearing his ACL during an off-season workout. That injury throws a massive question mark over an otherwise elite prospect. If McCoy checks out medically at the combine and looks explosive again in drills, he might not even be there at 18. That's how talented he is. A strong pre-draft cycle could push him into the top 12. However, if teams hesitate because of the ACL recovery timeline, he could slide right into the Vikings' range. And that's when things get fascinating. Do you trust your medical staff? Do you believe in the modern recovery process? Because if McCoy returns to pre-injury form, you're potentially getting a top 10 talent at 18. That's the kind of gamble that changes franchises. Now let's shift gears to the offensive side, and this one is going to spark debate. Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon, is widely viewed as the top TE in this draft class. Sadiq is a dynamic separator. He runs crisp routes, understands leverage, and is dangerous after the catch. He also shows willingness as a run blocker, which matters in today's balanced offenses. But here's the complication for the Vikings' positional value. Tight end in the first round only makes sense if your roster is already stacked or you're getting a truly elite, generational prospect. Compared to recent first-round tight ends like Dalton Kincaid or Brock Bowers, Sadiq isn't graded quite as highly. He's talented, yes, but he comes with drop concerns that show up on tape. And let's be honest, using pick 18 on a tight end with drop issues? That's a tough sell for a fan base craving impact at premium positions like corner or defensive tackle. Unless the Minnesota Vikings make a major roster move at tight end before the draft, this feels like a luxury pick. And right now, this team has more urgent needs. That brings us to the name that might quietly make the most sense. Caleb Banks out of Florida. A defensive tackle with real interior pass rush juice. Since 2023, Banks has posted an impressive pressure rate from the inside. And we all know how valuable interior pressure is in today's NFL. Collapse the pocket, disrupt timing, make life miserable for opposing quarterbacks. At his best, Banks flashes alignment versatility. He can line up in multiple spots along the defensive front and create mismatches. That kind of flexibility is gold for a creative defensive coordinator. But again, there are medical concerns. Banks has dealt with foot issues in the past and missed most of the 2025 season after another injury that required a procedure. That limited sample size adds uncertainty. Teams will dig deep into medical evaluations. If everything checks out, his stock could continue to rise after a strong Senior Bowl showing. If not, he becomes another high-risk, high-reward option sitting there at 18. But from a roster construction standpoint, defensive tackle feels like a premium investment for the Vikings. Interior disruption changes games in January. And if Banks reaches his ceiling, he could become that versatile game wrecker this defense has been missing. So let me ask you, Vikings fans, which gamble are you willing to take? The shutdown corner coming off an ACL? The athletic tight end with drop concerns? Or the explosive defensive tackle with a limited recent sample? Right now, if I had to lean one direction, Caleb Banks feels like the pick that balances need and upside. But this pre-draft cycle is going to matter more than ever. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you want at 18? Make sure you like this video, subscribe for more Minnesota Vikings news, and share this with every Vikings fan you know. Skol!